Oh, hi there, Dan Amrick, One of Swords here, the community manager for Activision, and I'm here to answer your questions on One of Swords TV. You have to send those questions into YouTube at oneofswords.com. That's where I get them, and I'll get through as many as I can. Some people are asking me questions that either I just don't know or that I just can't share. Or they're asking for information that doesn't exist, like sequels to games that have never been announced and weird crap like that. So please temper your expectations based on reality, and if your question is based on reality, I will certainly do my best to try to answer it. Tyson Matsuki has a good one this week, where he's asking for something that he says isn't directly related to Activision, but that I might have some insight on. So turns out I do. Does a publisher require an independent developer to give over the IP rights to the publisher when they make a deal? I came across a debate as to whether or not the Resistance series was owned by Sony or owned by Insomniac. Insomniac is independent, but is it right of me to think that Sony, as the publisher, requires Insomniac to give them the rights to the IP? I'd like to know a bit more about how this process works in macro. It's a good question, because these rules are kind of changing. Now, I don't have any information on exactly what the deal is between Insomniac and Sony, but generally, it has been the standard in the industry that the IP does go with a publishing deal. If you are an independent developer and you come to a big company and say, we want you to publish our game, we'd like to have this happen, then it has generally been a standard part of the deal that they get IP rights. There's nothing nefarious about it. It's just sort of like, we like your idea too. We like it so much we want to own it. And of course, there traditionally has been no way for them to make that game any other way without the help of a giant publisher. Obviously, things with, indie culture coming the way that it has and the rise of indie game development, that's different. But you also have things that are exceptions to the rule coming up. For instance, Destiny is probably the best and highest profile example of this. Bungie will retain the IP to Destiny after the 10-year publishing arrangement and partnership with Activision is concluded. They can always seek to renew that if they want, but at the end of the day, Bungie still owns the Destiny IP. That was important. That was something that both sides could work out. And both sides were very happy. They said, well, here's what we can do for you. And Bungie said, well, here's what we want. And it all worked out. But it is actually more the standard that if you come from an outside place and you go to the big publisher and you say, well, we want you to do our game, that the IP rights generally are part of that deal. But like I said, new world, different rules, different landscape. The industry is always changing, and we're seeing some exceptions to that rule. Be interesting to see how that changes as we go forward. Again, I don't know what I've never worked at Insomniac. I've never worked at Sony. I don't know. I'm not privy to that deal. But that's why a lot of times you will see sometimes late sequels come out where it's a completely different creative team because the company owns the IP. Like Activision owns Guitar Hero, even though Harmonix was the developer that created the Guitar Hero brand with Red Octane. Activision wound up buying Red Octane and buying the Guitar Hero brand as part of that deal. So a little bit of, closer to home insight on that. If you have a question that you think I can answer, I'd like to try to answer it. Send it to YouTube at oneofswords.com, and I'll do my best to tackle it on a future episode of One of Swords TV. Thanks for watching, and check out everything else that I do over at oneofswords.com. Podcasts, giveaways, lots of fun stuff that hopefully you'll like if you're into video games. Thanks for watching.